Hello, and welcome to Monday's Granada Reports.
Hello, thanks for joining us. Coming up on the programme this evening.
An inquest is underway to determine how a vulnerable teenage boy died while under the supervision of a mental health team at a Manchester hospital.
The mother stabbed to death as she pushed her baby's pram in Bradford is named as Kulsma Akhtar from Oldham. A manhunt is still underway to find the suspect, who's also from Oldham.
In the name of Ellie, Tim Edwards takes on the world's toughest marathon in the Sahara. His charity is helping young women like his daughter follow their dreams.
Everton are deducted 2 points for breaking profit and sustainability rules, leaving them just 2 points above the relegation zone. They say they'll appeal.
Well Done Joy, a charity volunteer for almost 70 years, celebrates her 100th birthday.
And in the weather, Storm Kathleen may be behind us, but a lot of messy, unsettled weather is ahead. All the details coming up.
So please do stay with us, but first tonight, an inquest is underway to determine how a vulnerable teenage boy was able to take his own life while under the supervision of a mental health team at Prestwich Hospital in Manchester.
Charlie Millers was 17 and transgender. He died in 2020, one of 3 young people to die at the hospital in less than a year.
Well, today, as the inquest opened, his mother called him a unique and an amazing human, but admitted that he had a long history of mental health issues and self-harming behaviour.
Well, let's cross now to Mel Barham, who's been at Rochdale Coroner's Court for us. Mel, what's been happening today?
Well, Lucy, the inquest began this morning with what's called a pen portrait, which is a video produced by Charlie's family where he was described, as you say, as unique and an amazing human. But the court heard he was actually a very complex young person who struggled with feelings of self-worth, had been badly bullied and had gone through a lot of trauma in his short life. His mum was the first to give evidence. She explained that Charlie had actually been born a girl, but from a very early age he told his family that he was a boy. And by the age of 12, he'd actually been attending a gender identity clinic, although he'd not begun any medication to transition. Now, he'd been diagnosed with ADHD and they suspected he also had autism. He'd had behavioural problems and mental health issues from a very early age and had begun self-harming at the age of 12, which had got progressively worse. He was known to social services and by 2020 he was in a cycle of self-harming behaviour which had seen him in and out of a mental health unit at Prestwich Hospital, which was known as Junction 17. Now, it was here in December 2020 during lockdown that he was found unresponsive in his room as a result of self-inflicted injuries. He died 5 days later at Salford Royal Hospital. He was just 17. Now, one of the questions the jury will have to answer at this inquest is whether he meant to take his own life. His mum told the court that he'd had a conversation with her before his death where he said he wasn't doing it to end his life. It was just his way of self-harming and relieving that pressure. And he told her that his thinking was that if he did it on this unit, that they would find him in time. She described her frustration with the care he was receiving, saying it was increasingly difficult for her to look after him at home and make sure that he was safe, but that he also wasn't doing well as an inpatient, and she believed actually that being in hospital was making his behaviour worse. She said she'd asked social services a number of times for more support but hadn't got it, and also said there'd been a lot of arguments between social services and this Junction 17. Well, we also heard today from one of the clinical psychologists at Junction 17 who told the court that during a session with Charlie that he told her that he was hearing voices telling him to harm himself. She said he also admitted to her that he'd wanted to end his life since he was 12 and that he was frustrated that he was unsuccessful in that. She also broke down in tears as she told the court that they were short-staffed. Well, this inquest is due to last for 3 weeks. It will resume again tomorrow.
Melin Rochdale, thank you.
Well, next to some breaking news tonight. The woman who was stabbed to death when she was pushing her baby's pram through Bradford Town Centre has been named as Kulsma Akhtar from Oldham. She was 27 and she was stabbed a number of times in the attack on Saturday afternoon. Her baby was unhurt. Police are still hunting the suspect, Habiba Massoum, who's also from Oldham. At a news conference earlier, police revealed raids had been carried out in Oldham, Burnley and Chester. They've also confirmed a 23-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of assisting an offender.
Kulsama sadly lost her life due to the injuries. Her baby is safe and well and was not harmed in this incident. Through initial CCTV inquiries, we identified a suspect, 25-year-old Habiba Massoum. Kulsama and Massoum are known to each other and are from Oldham in Greater Manchester. If you see Massoum, please call 999 immediately, and I urge people not to approach him, but to instead to contact the police, and we can act on any information that is provided.
Well, in the last hour, it's also been revealed that both Greater Manchester Police and West Yorkshire Police have referred themselves to the police watchdog because of previous contact with Massoum and Miss Akhtar. If you want to stay right up to date with this story, the ITV Evening News follows this programme and it will have the latest on that.
Well, moving on to other news now. Merseyside Police say that they have plans in place to ensure people going to this year's Grand National at Aintree have a safe and enjoyable time. The animal rights group responsible for the disruption at the start last year say they won't target the races this time, but police believe some form of protest is still likely.
So protest itself isn't an issue. Disorderly behaviour, criminal behaviour, aggravated trespass is an issue, public nuisance is a criminal issue that we'll deal with.
Tributes have been paid to former North West Labour MP Doug Hoyle. Lord Hoyle, the father of Chorley MP and House of Commons Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle, died peacefully at home at the age of 98. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer said he was a tenacious campaigner.
He was interviewed many times for this programme. Moving on now, and the father of Ellie Edwards, the young woman who died after she was shot outside a pub on Christmas Eve, is now taking on one of the world's toughest marathons in her memory.
Yes, Tim Edwards has been no stranger to incredible feats of endurance since his daughter was shot dead in Wallasey 15 months ago.
Yes, since Ellie's death, he has walked the length of the country. He's also set up a charity in her name, raising thousands of pounds along the way.
Today, he arrived in Morocco to take on the Marathon des Sables across the Sahara Desert. But before he flew out, he caught up with Claire Hanna.
This is the Marathon des Sables, dubbed the toughest foot race on earth. 156 miles in 6 days in 40-degree heat in the Sahara Desert. It was slightly cooler than that, though, when we caught up with Tim on the sands of New Brighton.
This has been my training ground for the last 6 months.
Sort of strolling down here.
Well, no, I go walk to West Kirby and back.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, it's 20 miles. I've mixed it up, rather, because I can't stand going to a gym. Do a lot of swimming, obviously a lot of walking. And just keep them active that way, busy all the time.
You fly out on Monday?
Yeah.
It starts the Monday after?
Yeah. So I've got 4 or 5 days to kill in Marrakesh and then driven into the desert, which is about a 5-hour drive.
That's so exciting.
I'm really looking forward to it, to be honest.
Tim's doing it to raise money for the Ellie Edwards Foundation, which he set up in his daughter's name, because after Ellie's murder, he made her a promise he'd use her name for good.
I think the first thing we're going to do is start giving out scholarships and funding for people, especially women, who want to further their careers. The obvious one would be in the beauty business because it's relevant to Ellie, and I've always said Ellie will guide it. And I always try to think of the things that she may have wanted to help other people with.
Ellie is always with Tim. A lock of her hair is even in this locket around his neck. And since she was killed 15 months ago, it's been a day-by-day, step-by-step journey.
That's my way of doing it. Everyone's different. Good days, bad days. It was some days, some weeks, just awful. But, you get through them.
The rest of the family, how are they?
They're coping well, yeah. They're doing as best as they can. Ellie's mum, she doesn't do TV thing and all that, but she's very much the rock behind those kids. take a lot to beat this for me.
And Tim is now determined the Sahara Desert won't beat him either. Last year, he had a warm-up, that epic charity walk across the whole length of the UK with Scouse comedian John May.
Well, I like it on record that John May was the instigator behind this on the walk, the last walk that we did. And we were originally going to do it together.
And he's backed out?
Well, he's not here, is he, doing the interview with me, so...
Shame on him.
Yeah, shame on John May, yeah.
So while John won't be with him, Ellie will, every step of the way. The race starts next Monday. Claire Hannah, ITV News, New Brighton.
Yeah, good luck with the marathon,
What
Tim.
a remarkable man he is.
Yeah. Next, the protest to stop sewage being released into England's longest lake, Windermere.
Yeah, protesters were joined today by the environmental campaigner Fergal Sharkey, who's also known to many of us for being the lead singer with the Undertones. He was with residents for their weekly Save Windermere protest in Bowness.
United Utilities says it's investing over £6 billion to reduce their part of the issue. Fiona Marley-Patterson was at the protest.
A punk rock star rocking Windermere today in a different way.
By my calculations over the last 5 years, water companies in England have spent almost 14 million hours dumping sewage into the environment.
Fergal Sharkey, lead singer of the Undertones, now campaigns for water quality, giving his voice to the campaign to save Windermere.
They genuinely are the most brilliant campaigners I have seen in a very long time, and I simply wanted to come up, give them a huge round of applause, give them a massive pat in the back, because as you can see, in a matter of weeks, this has gone from one man, Matt, sitting on his toilet, to this whole throng of people. Everybody's fed up with the sewage thing. Our cash has been taken and given to shareholders. We've had enough.
Water companies can legally discharge sewage in high rainfall. United Utilities have to tell the Environment Agency how often they do that. Last year, the equivalent of 366 days of sewage was discharged into the Windermere catchment, more than any other water company.
And we've got to get Windermere front and centre for the politicians to see this is a great big stink, and if it goes green and fish die, then they're going to have an even bigger problem on their hands. So it's just exciting. I want people to feel like we have an opportunity here to protect the lake, not just for the next 5 years, 10 years, but to protect the lake forever, so no one ever has to return to this topic of conversation again.
United Utilities says discharging in rain protects the system and homes flooding. It does that more because it's very wet here. Last year, one of the wettest on record. But it says it's investing over £6 billion reducing those overflows.
We know that people want that to change. We totally agree, and we're committed to making that change. Going faster, we will if we can, but the system operates every day and we can't shut down the system to make all these changes in one go. So we are prioritising biodiverse sensitive areas, but we will go as quickly as we can.
The water company says they're investing more than ever. It is changing. It can't be fast enough for these campaigners. Their cry to now just fix it, boosted by this campaign's most famous protester. Fiona Marley-Patterson, ITV News, Windermere.
On sport now, another points deduction for Everton, Chris.
Yes, it's their second in a matter of months. Everton say they are preparing another appeal after being deducted another 2 points by the Premier League for breaking financial rules. It takes their total number of points docked this season to 8 and leaves them just 2 points above the relegation zone. Tim Scott can join us live from Goodison Park. Tim, what's the reaction there?
Well, Chris, we'll be finding out what one of the fans thinks in just a minute. But as you say, 2 point reduction, leaving the club now just 2 points above that relegation zone with just 7 games of the season to go. A Premier League commission has found the club guilty of breaching financial profit and sustainability rules for a 3-year period up to June last year. And they've imposed this 2 point deduction with immediate effect. The club, of course, was docked 10 points in November, although that was reduced on appeal to just 6. Well, joining me now is Dave Kelly from the Everton Fans Advisory Board. Dave, you're looking pretty glum. Your reaction to today's decision?
Yeah, very much deja vu. The immediate response would be one of disappointment. The devil will be in the detail. I haven't had the opportunity to read the full 60 pages, but I'm sure it'll make interesting reading this evening.
You've said before your issue, as much as anything here, is consistency regarding other clubs who've had points docked. Just a quick explanation what that is.
Yeah, I think the thing most Evertonians want to get out there loud and clear is Everton Football Club and Evertonians aren't saying we're innocent. We have broken PSR rules and as such should face some sort of punishment. But I would urge the Premier League to get its house in order and actually put a tariff in place which is clear, open and transparent so everyone knows what they're working towards.
And you're saying that when these sanctions are imposed, you don't know what criteria is being used. Is that the problem?
No, well you've had 3 independent panels who've all set different tariffs and different amounts of points. That's not the way. That calls the whole integrity of the Football League table into question. It's pointless looking at the league table. You can go to bed one night in one position and wake up the following morning in another.
OK, thank you so much, Dave Kelly there. As for the club for themselves today, they've released a statement saying they don't think the 2-point sanction is appropriate and they are planning to appeal that decision. Chris?
This season well, with all the knocks we've handled the season well, I think. I never questioned about being proud of the players. You know, it's not easy when the cloud over this guy's been there for 2-3 years. You know, some of the players have been there for 2 or 3 years. So it's not, you can't just change it overnight. It's a process, you know, and they're going through it and they're working hard and they're delivering as much as they can and trying to make it change.
People forget as well, with a team that just come up, playing in a really important game against a team that has seen a lot of investment over the years. So sometimes that's the harshest thing is the result.
I'm 100% sure. So that's just, I'm really sorry to say that, but this is matter of fact. We should have won both games and didn't. That's our fault.
This is another signal and a message for the future for Manchester United.
Madrid, and after come back, Luton, 3 days Madrid again, and after going 3 days to the FA Cup semi-final against Chelsea. When you have injured players, at the end of a moment, the human being cannot sustain for a long time. You know, play every 3-4 days. But at the same time, we are an incredible competitive mindset on our players for experience, and they proved to us many years.
Well, Preston's hopes of joining the Premier League took another blow at the weekend. A goalless draw at Watford leaves them 7 points behind the Championship playoff spots. And it was another blank scoreline for Blackburn against Southampton. Rovers now 4 points above the drop zone. Bolton Wanderers are just a point behind League One's top 2 after their 2-0 win at Bristol Rovers. Blackpool's faint playoff hopes are still alive after they beat Cambridge 1-0, while Wigan Athletic were held to a goalless draw by Port Vale. In League 2, Crewe look set for the playoffs despite their goalless draw at Accrington. Elsewhere, Barrow, Morecambe, Salford and Tranmere all lost, but Stockport are just a couple of wins from promotion after beating Sutton 3-1.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
Finally to snooker, and the first ever Tour Championship to be staged in Manchester has been won by Mark Williams. The Welshman battled back from 5-3 down to beat Ronnie O'Sullivan by 10 frames to 5 at Manchester Central. He picked up the trophy and a winner's cheque for £150,000. I've said it before, we are in the wrong game.
Yeah, great to see all that happening in Manchester, though. Chris, thank you.
Well, next, the incredible lady who's given half a lifetime of service to blind and partially sighted people in Blackpool.
Yeah, happy birthday to Joy Killip, who's been celebrating her 100th birthday. And since 1977, she's been voicing the Talking newspaper.
Yeah, it's a charity that brings the latest news to more than 2,500 people in the town each month.
Well, today, Joy's fellow volunteers were on hand to celebrate with a surprise party. Paul Crone went along too.
A classic win. Rachmaninoff tops the music poll.
A warm and soothing voice designed to help those who struggle to see.
100-year-old Joy Killip shows no sign of giving up her role as a reader of the N-Vision talking newspaper in Blackpool and knows how vital the service is.
The blind can be so easily cut off with nothing. I mean, they can't read, they can hear but not read. So they can't read the local news.
Although she's 100, she's still involved and she's still recording in the studio right now. She comes in every Monday to do things and does other bits of the recording as well that we send out each week.
Joy started the talking newspaper back in 1977 on the Fylde coast, and from humble beginnings it's flourished into providing thousands of people each week who have sight difficulties with weekly updates on local news.
So it allows people who might otherwise feel cut off from the world, it allows them to feel more connected to the world.
Doing this keeps my brain alive, keeps me alive, gives me something to live for. NHS guidelines recommend people eat at least 2 portions of fish a week.
This afternoon, the centre held a surprise 100th birthday party for Joy, and you have to get up pretty early to catch her out. So here on Talking Newspapers, it's International Tongue Twister Day. Here to read today's tongue twister is Joy. Here you go. Crack on.
Betty bought butter, but the butter was bitter, so Betty bought better butter to make the bitter butter better.
Whee! Round of applause. A better broadcaster in Blackpool you're unlikely to behold. Paul Crone, ITV News.
Great work, Joy. We can all learn a thing or two from Joy, especially about newsreading here. Now the weather with Emma.
Why do I need a shower? I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there. Well, what a weekend we've had. The warmest day of the year so far, and Storm Kathleen bringing us some blustery disruption. Kathleen's now away, replaced by the next system, which has been named by the French Met Office, Storm Pierrick. I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Sitting out to the west of us, flinging lots of messy weather in across the region at the moment, with a couple of weather warnings as well. The first one already in force is for some very wet weather across the Isle of Man from now until 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. 20 to 30 millimetres of rainfall falling widely, 35 to 45 mils over the tops of the hills, and some strong winds across the Isle of Man and at these Irish Sea coasts as well. 40-50 mile an hour gusts, and you can see that warning extends right the way down the Welsh coast. In fact, the winds are working their way up from Wales, so these strongest gusts over 50 miles an hour are reserved for the Welsh coast, and then 40 to 50 miles an hour as we head further northwards for us and across the Isle of Man. But big waves as well because of the spring tides. And of course, it's the Aintree Grand National Festival this week. We are transmitting live from there on Friday. Granada Reports will be there, and it's looking rather mixed but mild throughout, I have to say, and you see that by these yellow colours at the moment. But tomorrow cooler air digs in, and then from Thursday, Friday onwards, it looks like pressure's building from the south, so we start to turn warmer and drier once again. For the next few hours though, really messy, lots of cloud all circulating around that storm, that low pressure system, and you can see that temperatures will hold up because of all the cloud cover. No chance of seeing that partial eclipse overnight tonight. Rush hour tomorrow, the winds could peak and it could be quite nasty at that point, with lots of wet weather, clearing to sunny spells and blustery showers later, but watch out for those strong winds first thing in the morning still. Bye-bye.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Let's have a go.
She sells seashells by the seashore.
She sells seashells by the seashore. She sells seashells by the seashore. Good night.